What's poppin', y'all? Trippie Red's deciding to finally pop his ish, man, at one of the legends of hip hop and music in general, and that is Ye. So this all started with Ye dropping this statement.
It's like, it's that rage, but for me, like, I invented rage, bro. Blood on the leaves. Blood on the leaves. Just take it back. I invented this whole rage shit.
So off of this, a lot of people start looking at it like, huh? Now, you've got the Ye D-Riders off top, Ye meat slobbers, knowing that he's the one that likes to do the meat slobbing, not the other way around. So, yeah, you've got to, we won't get into detail. But they're trying to analyze it like, yo, he actually got a point, on Yeezus. And keep in mind, Yeezus is top 2 Ye albums for me, and it's not 2. I love Yeezus. And I've loved Yeezus since the moment it dropped. I've always loved Yeezus. I would say it's at least top 3. Now, I feel like it depends. Your top Ye album really depends on what phase of life you're in, what you're experiencing. But I'm willing to put it on record, at least for this video, and not for this point in time, but for the majority of time since it dropped, I really, really enjoyed Yeezus. Top 3. You could say it's my favorite Ye album, but it's difficult. There are so many albums that I listen to just as much as Yeezus. With that being said, that did not start Rage. Rage music, as far as I can remember. So we're going to go through a little bit of a history lesson after we play you guys the clip in response by Trippie Redd.
The inventors of the Rage sound is me, X, Cardi, and Uzi. We paved the way. We popularized it. I'm not gonna let you old ass niggas say you invented something that you ain't invent. Niggas need to take their pills, man. These niggas be psychotic, like out of their fucking mind. Like, your old ass ain't invent shit. That's exactly why I ain't pull up on his old ass, cause he always just wanna put a nigga beneath him and shit. You ain't really for the black people. You ain't really for your people, nigga. You be using niggas, and you lost right now. Hey, artists coming up, keep a hold of y'all craft, man. Don't give y'all shit out to these old niggas, because they just want to get around you, find out your sound, use you, and then dump you, nigga. Won't fuck with you ever again, nigga. All these niggas cutthroat.
So Trippie Redd is not wrong here. However, before we address what Trippie Redd said, let's go through some history of Rage within the hip-hop genre. The first time I heard Rage, and this is probably, I think it's accurate, was Scott Miscuddy, Kid Cudi, Mr. Rager. And this was not necessarily his brand, but he would always talk about it, like rage, rage, rage. And it did not coincide with the sound whatsoever of Yeezus, nor the sound of rage that developed in this underground SoundCloud scene, as well as Trippie Redd in the late 2010s, early 2020s. I would say 2020, 2021. 2021 is when rage music peaked with Mr. Rage, as well as it was not Life's a Trip. It was Trip at Night. And man, I'll get to Trip at Night in a second. But we have Scott Miscuddy, Kid Cudi, talking about Mr. Rage. Now, I don't want to hear Ye. Ye says Yeezus, so I don't want to hear Ye say, well, because Kid Cudi was inspired by me and we did 808s, like that's where Rage started. No, we're not doing that. So after Kid Cudi inspires Travis Scott. Travis Scott, the Scott in his name comes from Kid Cudi. I forgot what the Travis comes from. I probably said it in a different video. But he's heavily inspired by Kid Cudi. They even have this group, not a real group that they consistently make music with, but they've dropped music as the Scotts. They've collaborated since Travis Scott's second album, Birds in the Trap Sing McKnight. They made great music together, but Travis Scott's always been on some rage. Like, yo, where my ragers at? And he had music that was more conducive to that, including his concerts. Like, we look at early Travis Scott, Owl Pharaoh. We look at Days Before Rodeo. We look at songs like Quintana Part 1. We look at songs like Upper Echelon. And throughout, up until the Astroworld incident and fatality of those 10 people, unfortunately, a lot of Travis Scott's music is about raging, and he talks about rage. Now, at the same time that this is going on with Travis Scott, 2013, 2014, before Rodeo comes out, and Rodeo is when it really launched him. At that same time, OG Mako from Atlanta who was previously in a band. I think he was it was like a punk band or a metal band, not entirely too sure. But he comes out with, you guessed it, and that had that type of energy. And I think he was the first signee to QC. Someone can fact check me. I don't have these facts off the top of my head. I'm just going through my memory. And then he dropped the song F 'em 3 times. And he had this energy to him. I mean, his shows, him giving his opinions. He was very vocal. He was outspoken about his beliefs, all of that stuff. And the music reflected it. So this is happening at the same time as Travis Scott's doing the rage stuff and calling people ragers and having them rage at his concerts. Then OG Macko drops a song called Children of the Rage. Or not a song, an album, project, mixtape, whatever you want to call it. Children of the Rage. XXXTentacion was actually inspired by OG Macko. And OG Macko revealed this years ago. I think this was even maybe right after X passed or before X passed. But XXXTentacion, he talked about OG. I don't know if he talked about OG Macko too much publicly, but you could see that there was a little bit of an influence. Now, I'm not saying that it's this type of influence that Kid Cudi had on Travis Scott. Of course not. But nevertheless, XXXTentacion, he didn't necessarily call anything rage, but the energy with Look At Me, it falls in line with like Travis Scott type concerts with F 'em 3 times. So there's like this lineage that's going on. And rage music still doesn't exist, but I would say XXXTentacion, Look At Me, that's really starting to get that type of energy going. And then you've got the songs that he had with Ski Mask. But really, when rage was coined as a term, I never heard it before Bobalam used it. And it was with Mr. Rage. So Mr. Rage was a song that, I don't know if the original dropped, it was being teased as a snippet by Trippie Redd and Playboi Carti. And then we got this version with Mario Judah on it, which is amazing. It still got like 20 plus million views on it. And it was surrounding this type of production. And this is post Plug and B. Now, Plug and B was a type of music in the underground SoundCloud scene from maybe like 2018, later 2018, after the emo era. Emo era was like, it was like SoundCloud V1.5, and you had artists like Convolk, as well as I'm forgetting the guy. The guy goes by Sewer Person now, and like this kind of like crew of people that it was almost like this emo interlude before we got into Plug and B, which was like Autumn Summers dominated, and you had some influence from Tekka as well on other artists in that scene, and then it transitions into Rage. And Trippie Redd, as well as Sofago, but I think it was Trippie Redd for sure. Sofago had Off the Map, but Trippie Redd drops Trip at Night. And this album was amazing, man. Like the amount of memories that I have and experiences listening to this album, just top to bottom, driving through LA streets in 2021, and all the experiences that I had, and just like a ton of people that I met, it really brings back fond memories. And it was a great album. And for someone to explain rage, like what is rage to somebody, listen to Trippie Redd's Trip at Night album. And for somebody like Ye to come and try to claim that, I really appreciate the way that Trippie Redd popped his ish on him. Because people like Ye, and this goes for artists like Drake too, although Drake doesn't try to say that he started a wave. There's like this level of envy, because all young artists need to understand this. Older acts, older rappers, they need you. The reason they need you is if they keep making music that quote-unquote matures, let's say Jay-Z, for instance, they're still popular, but the audience is aging with them. There's a reason why, if you ask top 5 rappers or artists, hip-hop artists, for young people, let's say 16 to 25, a lot of people may have Ye in there. A lot of people may have Drake in there. But very rarely will you see somebody have Jay in there. And the reason for that is people like Jay and Nas and others, whilst Nas is still making great music, especially with Hit Boy, like those guys have been locked in. Man, you really have to listen to some of that stuff. If you haven't listened to just the King's Disease series, as well as other projects that they've done together, you should check it out if you're a fan of hip-hop. It's really well-developed music in terms of production, as well as like Nas just stepping into a new form, but also keeping what we love about Nas. regardless, I'm not going to go too far in that direction. But the reason why Ye and Drake appeal to this audience as well as their older audience is because they're tapping in with the new wave consistently. Any new movement or sound that's bubbling up, they're taking a piece of it. Like when Chief Keef was first getting on with Don't Like, what does Ye do? Oh, we're hopping on this with Pusha T. This is going to be on one of our Good Fridays. Take some sauce from there. And let's not talk about all the other artists that were writing for Ye or producing for Ye and gave songs to Ye that they didn't take, and then, of course, or they weren't able to use. And then sometimes he just cast these artists aside. At a certain point in time, he was working with a lot of Chicago acts. Montana 300 was even at some sessions with Ye, and it just didn't pan out. And we don't know if he's taking those ideas. We don't know if he's taking the inspirations and what he's doing with them. And then to try and claim that you started this, like, no, you didn't. And Trippie Redd is right, and he deserves to pop his ish. And the way Trippie Redd is looking at it is how much, well, I don't know if he's looking at it like this, but this is the way that I look at it, is how much respect are we going to give you before you're disrespecting us and we got to stand up for what we built? Because if Trippie Redd lets Ye run with this narrative that he started Rage and Rage is because of him, that's diminishing what Trippie Redd and XXXTentacion, and you could even potentially say, well, even Sofego, right? And you could also potentially say Ski Mask, in the names that Trippie Redd mentioned, what they built. And nobody helped them build that. Ye didn't come tap them on the shoulder while they were broke, destitute, just trying to come up and say, like, yo, we got to develop this new sound. No, they developed that themselves, and they got it popping themselves. So it's not almost insulting. It is insulting for Ye to just try to claim it like he did that when he didn't. And I think artists like Trippie Redd, I think Trippie Redd's the only one that's been vocal about it, but I think a lot of other artists may feel this way as well, where it's, yo, Ye, you're a legend. Everyone acknowledges you as a legend. You had moments like Graduation. You had The Life of Pablo. You had all of these other things. You have 24 Grammys. Like, do you really need to try to claim Rage as well? Like, can we have anything? Especially something that we made ourselves? Like, come on, man. And I think that's what Trippie Redd's looking at it like. And, yo, pop your ish, man. Like, Trippie Redd, like, man, Trip at Night is a great album. Trippie Redd as a whole is a great artist. And he deserves to stand up for himself like this. A lot of artists won't do it because they're a bit scared of Ye fans, I guess. And Playboy, and initially Trippie Redd also put out Ye STFU by Playboy Carti. And it's easier for Playboy Carti to stand up to Ye because Playboy Carti is like at the peak of his career. Everybody loves him. He can do no wrong. Whilst Trippie Redd, I wouldn't say he's at a lull in his career. I wouldn't necessarily say he's plateaued, but he's not the hottest thing in the game right now, and everybody's gassing him up. So he genuinely feels this way. And this is somebody that also has a lot of respect for Ye, because he even said in a couple of days prior to this, he was tweeting about his own album in the midst of talking about some anime and saying, you got to compare this new music to ish like Travis or Ye, Donda, Life of Pablo era, or Drake-ish, even SZA and Chris Brown. I'm on that timing right now. Album of the year loading for sure. And then he goes in on Ye 2 days after that. So he was just already giving credit to Travis and Ye and these different albums, but letting people know, like, yo, we did this Rage stuff. And if you don't let people know, they will run with it. It's almost like, for example, Drake Flow. Like, Big Sean dropped the song. I don't know if it was a year or two ago, and they're saying, yo, this guy sounds just like Drake. You know how, I'm not a Big Sean stan or anything like, or a huge supporter of Big Sean. I like Big Sean's music. When I was a kid, loved Big Sean. But it made me want to bang my head against the wall. It was Drake that took Big Sean's flow. So imagine telling somebody who got on with a flow of their own that they sound like somebody who took their flow. But if you don't establish, like, yo, we did this, then that's what's going to happen. And I'm not saying that Big Sean should have done that, because that comes across a certain way and you can come across as a hater. But if you're replying, and it's very rare instances where a situation like this pops up, if someone like Ye is saying, like, yeah, I did that Rage stuff, and you're just replying like, actually, no, you didn't. We did it. Here's the proof. Like, let's not do all that stuff. And Trippie Redd's also right that these older artists are trying to take your, like, not take your swag, but take some of your sauce, because there's only a limited number or a limited amount of inspiration and sound someone can really explore on themselves. And this is why like a lot of music gets collaborative, for someone to be able to tap into a lot of different sounds, which Drake has done an excellent job of. They're going to come looking for you. But I don't want to just start babbling. I think I iterated my points, or I think I reiterated my points as well, like probably 2 or 3 times, enough to let you guys know my take on the situation. I like what Trippie Redd did here. I'm looking forward to this Trippie Redd album. He got me paying attention to this album more because of this back and forth, because it got me to check out his Twitter/X and see that he's working on something that he's excited about and that he's gassing up. And I remember listening previously to this song. I forgot, it was like Maybach or something. He had posted it on X, and I like that song too. So I'm looking forward to see what he's dropping, because him just posting on Twitter about music, it's less likely to hit my feed. So I probably wouldn't have seen it until the stuff actually dropped. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.